And so, Heath, thank you for joining us today. Thank you for taking a few minutes from a busy schedule and helping us understand what is Cowboy Auctioneer and how do you go make a big impact every year?
Well, I still have to pinch myself all the time because I get to do auctions and represent these incredible nonprofit missions. And, I'm always in a great city with super generous people. It's high energy, it's emotional, but most importantly, it's just making sure that every time we attend an event, it's the biggest night of the year for that nonprofit. And so I'm honored to just get to stand on stage and represent these missions and help the people who they have curated that audience get more generous than they planned on getting, but being happy that they did. My hope is always that the drive home for those people is, man, that was a blast. And honey, I know we spent an extra $10,000, but golly, I'm glad we did. So that's what the last week and really several months has been like, is different cities, different venues, different missions, but a lot of similarity in generous people with incredible missions making an impact.
Well, and I so appreciate that that's the drive of Cowboy Auctioneer. And when I think about the events that I've attended and seen you in action, it's not just you. You're up on the stage, microphone in hand, but that cowboy hat is worn by, depending on the size of the room, 5 or 6 other people that are in there building that energy.
Yeah.
And instead of an auction, it becomes entertaining. It becomes more impactful because it's not waiting for it to be over. It is, how do I get involved? How do I jump into the mix? And the Cowboys, your ringmen out in the crowd, do a great job of building that excitement too.
It's something that it's one of the things I love the most about what we do. I was fortunate to grow up in the auction industry in Texas. And so my family background is auctions across a ton of different industries. And so growing up, my friends were the children of auctioneers. And so when you grow up in a family of auctioneers, you naturally become an expert in auctioneering. And so we have 15 cowboys and a cowgirl. And so there's 16 of us on the Cowboy Auctioneer team. We can break up and do up to 3 events in a night with 3 different Cowboy Auctioneer leaders. But the excitement and the energy and the connection that each of them make, I mean, you can imagine someone considering going from $10,000 to $15,000 on a bid, and someone has to give them that nudge. And it's not just a nudge; it's an opportunity for someone on my team to remind them about the impact that bid's going to create, about the fun they're going to have on that trip, and about the excitement that it's going to bring into the room. And then whenever they do put the hand up and give that bid, these professionals, they're always really quick to shake their hand and thank them for their participation. And so our goal is to always bring the energy. We want to take just the average feeling gala and insert fireworks into the middle of it. And when you do that, people talk about it, they have a blast, and they come back next year.
Well, and they start to recognize the Cowboys. It's the same event we were at one Friday night, and I watched people walking up to individual Cowboys talking about last year and talking about how much they enjoyed their trip and how they're excited to be in it again this year. And to that end, they'll quietly sit there and they'll wait until you're working on multiples and you got an exciting crowd, and all of a sudden a paddle comes up out of nowhere because y'all have curated that relationship as much as the auctioneer team can. But year to year, for a lot of nonprofits, you're helping their donors really build that excitement.
Yeah, and whether it's our first year doing an event or a lot of our clients are 10 plus year clients, we are all about relationship. I mean, look, we cannot be successful at what we do without the people in the room. And so we want to make sure, we want to shake hands, make eye contact, make sure that they feel like they're the most special people in the room. They could be doing anything on that Friday night or Saturday night. The world is busier today than it's ever been. And so when people say, we're going to give up this Saturday night, we're going to come to your event, and we're going to get involved and make an impact, we want to make them feel like heroes. And so we are always engaging with them. And what it does, Justin, when the auction is going and the excitement is clicking up there, that relationship matters. Yep. And whether it's me or one of my other auctioneers or one of the Cowboys that are taking the bids, when they lean over and they say, hey, Miss Johnson, just another $1,000. Miss Johnson puts that paddle up because there's a relationship and there's engagement there that doesn't happen otherwise. So we invest in that. We always, when we walk into a room, so say it's our first time in a new market, we've never done an event in Orlando, Florida.
Right.
But if we walked into an event tonight in Orlando, Florida, we've done the preparation work before we arrive. We have a list of the top 15 to 20 people that we need to engage with. We understand that some donors, they want the attention. Some donors don't. And so what we will do is we will approach each of them in the way that they want to or desire to be approached. And that really matters. And so we're always prepared. So we're always prepared when we walk into a room, especially in a new market where we don't know anyone. We're going to go the extra mile, whether it's during cocktail hour or committee calls, to get to know those people and what their tendencies are. And so it's kind of fun to walk into a room for the first time and you hear people whispering, going, how do they know all the people in here? And it's because we want to invest and engage in those relationships, because those people are the most important people to make that mission grow.
Well, it's such an important point, and I'm glad you bring it up, because it lets me really dive into, it's not just you show up and do an auction. You've spent 9-12 months. Your team has spent 9-12 months or 10 years with an organization really curating that event. I mean, you're engaged in the event to the level you're helping them pick and order the auction packages. You're helping them understand the run of show for the night and what you're seeing works and what doesn't. And you have the benefit of having done this 1,000+ times.
Right.
Whereas a new event director or a team a gala chair for the first time maybe has a lot of questions and wants to go big and wants to do something special. And you can help them really curate that into the right fit without the inefficiency of money, time, resources taking from the charity.
You know, you're exactly right. It is a ton of work to host an unsuccessful event.
Oh.
It's a ton of work.
It's the same amount of work to create a successful event.
That's right. Hey, killing my thunder here. So it's the same amount of work to create a successful event. It's just a few different strategic decisions. Yeah. And so most organizations, it's so easy. It's so easy to get bogged down in the details and stressing about things that don't have any bottom line impact. Where we like to come in and help you focus is your bottom line impact. What things are you doing? What things are you doing the night of that event and leading up to the event? But what things are you doing in order to increase the impact, to improve the donor experience, and to raise awareness for your mission? And so if you can raise more awareness by making a few strategic decisions on your messaging, you can create more engagement and have the attendee experience be more lively and engaging and celebratory. And then you make a few strategic decisions based on how and when you're going to make the fundraising asks. Everything changes. With the same amount of people in the room, the exact same people in the room, in the exact same venue on the exact same day, there's several $100,000s worth of swing that take place by 6 or 8 really strategic decisions. And those decisions aren't exactly the same every time. Organizations in one state versus another state, one city versus another city, or say both organizations are in Austin, Texas, and one of them's raising money for their private school, and one of them's raising money to provide shelter for the homeless. Those decisions can be different based on the profile of the audience and the mission. And so we want to engage you where you are and help you make the best decisions. But yeah, it's a ton of work either way. And so you might as well, we want to partner with you for the long term and think about those decisions. When you talk about putting auction packages in order, we have what we call an event prep checklist, and it is the last 15 years. It is our, call it, Bible of event strategy and fundraising strategy at live events. And it's 15 years of the to-dos and the to-don'ts. And so we will walk through all of that with you and help you understand how every decision is impactful, from pre-setting the salads and the desserts to serving the salads and desserts, why you shouldn't have a buffet in some scenarios, why you should change the lighting from the live auction to the paddles up. And every one of these little decisions that really someone's going, oh, it's just lighting. Let's let the hotel pick the lighting. No. The lighting is going to have tens of thousands of dollars worth of impact if you change it and you go exciting lighting during live auction and you go dim and somber lighting during paddles up, if that makes sense for your event. So all of those matter. It's a science, and it's been fun figuring that science out over the last 15 years.
You talk about paddles up, and for our audience that might not know what that means, I think it's one of the most impactful parts of a night. And when you're standing up there, there's a patience and a presence that you bring to any room for paddles. But I love it the most when you're making a big, call it an audacious ask for somebody to just give $500,000. And you've had the privilege of seeing people put a paddle up in that range, if not higher.
Mm-hmm.
And that is truly missional giving. That's not a package. They're not getting anything in return.
Correct.
But as entertaining as you can make it, to your point, it's live, exciting, selling packages. But then it's a hard shift down back to the mission. And sometimes those missions are really tough.
Yeah.
It can be a somber realization that we're raising money for people that are going through it. We can also see that that's where we make the most impact. And in your mission of making impact, I wonder how you separate that. How do you make that gear shift from an exciting auction where you've just done record-setting live auction and go into a really impactful paddle up?
Well, you make great points on all of that. Back to your first statement, we always want the paddles up moment. Some folks call it the paddles up, the fund the mission, the fund a need. But we want that pure giving moment. We want it to go as big or way bigger than the live auction did.
Yeah.
It's the most impactful, most profitable, easiest, simplified way to raise money of anything you will do at that event. More so than the silent auction and the raffle and the live auction and the wine toss and the mystery bags and. That paddles up is a pure gift. It's 100% pure. It's 100% tax deductible. And our goal is to always have 100% participation. And so you talk about that downshift. We want that live auction to feel like fireworks. We want it to be high energy, hooping and hollering, music's playing, people are dancing, high-fiving, champagne toasting, energy, and stuff that people thought was going to bring 20,000 brings 60,000, and they're all just going wild, and they're happy that it is because it's successful. And so we like to go from fireworks to very mission driven. Now, if you're at a school or a private school, it's very different than if you're at the event for fighting human trafficking or serving women and children who have been abused by a loved one.
Yeah.
And so we have different tones. I like to say different chameleon modes for those types of scenarios. But when you're at the heavy, somber event for a mission that's truly dark and tragic, but the money is needed because you're bringing hope to the vulnerable, man, we like to go from fireworks to we reset that room. And you can do that with a video or with a speaker or with lighting, or we do it as your folks who are representing your mission on stage. But you want everyone in the room to be able to hear a pin drop. And my wife says it's the weirdest thing about me. And we've been together for more than half of our lives. And she says the weirdest thing about me is that I love making that big, audacious ask, an amount that no one in the room, much higher than anyone in the room, thought I was going to ask for. And of course, I want paddles to fly whenever I make that ask. I want 2, 3, 4, 10 paddles to go up. But when no paddles go up and you can sit in that silence and that pause happens and everyone in the room is on pins and needles, I think that silence and that pressure is so impactful and so powerful. And I love that moment. It's weird, but I don't like, Justin, I wouldn't ask you to buy me a cup of coffee. Yeah. I don't like asking for anything, but I can put this cowboy hat on and say a prayer and walk out on stage. And I'm like, it's not up to me. And so I just go out there and I will make these super uncomfortable asks and I thrive in that moment. And here's what I think, and I do this strategically sometimes. This is a little bit of strategy. Not sure if the competitors are listening, but I'll actually get in my head if I think the biggest paddle up tonight is going to be $25,000. I love to walk out there, and some event planners are going, oh my gosh, this sounds miserable. This is the worst part of an event. I hate it. But you got to trust us in the power that this has. If we know the top gift is going to be 25 grand, we know it. It's already committed. Why start at 25?
Yeah.
You don't want to fail on 2 levels in a row. Then that feels like it was a tough night. But if you fail on your first level and you hit on your second level, everyone cheers and they're like, oh my goodness, thank goodness a paddle went up. But it's that quiet and that tension that gets everyone in the room thinking for a moment, honey, it could be us.
Yeah.
And most of the people in your room can raise their paddle at a level higher than they are planning. They are planning for what's comfortable. And what we like to do is get them uncomfortable. I say this a lot. You can have comfort or you can have growth, but you can't have both. I got that from Craig Groeschel, and it translates so much to Paddles Up. So I love to walk out there knowing I got 25,000. And I will start the ask it, who can give a gift of greater than 25,000? Or who can give a gift of 100,000? And if I make that ask and 3 or 4 paddles go up, that's amazing.
Yeah.
But if I make that ask and I hear crickets, what I know is we're not just going to get 1 at 25,000. We're about to get 4 or 5 or 6 at 25,000, because the people that we're going to give 10, they're uncomfortable right now. Yeah. They want to put their paddle up at 100. And so it's fun. You know, it's mass audience psychology. And I'm a big buff on looking into mass audience psychology and how you can get 900 people that have been at an open bar for 3 hours to stay quiet and to focus and give generously. And I love being a part of that and guiding that audience to do radical things that they didn't think they could do.
But everything you just said is intentional.
Every second on stage is intentional.
But I don't know that event director that said, "Oh, that's super uncomfortable. It's my least favorite." How much of that intentionality translates into what they've built in their event? I know that when they're working with Cowboy or Cowboy Auctioneers, that you're laying that out and you're making that mission. But I want the ones that haven't worked with you yet to understand that challenge every second of your stage time and make sure you're getting the most out of it. But that's a hard thing for a first job kind of fundraiser to come in and understand, that hasn't been in 1,000 rooms.
Or even the lady that's been there for the director that's been there for 15 years, and she knows her audience way better than we do. We want to challenge those moments on stage because we want to have mad respect for the person, whether it's their first ever job and they don't know their audience that well, or the director who's been there for 15 years and she knows every part and every detail of the audience. We want to challenge them that we can create an atmosphere, an energy, and an emotion if we educate and inspire the correct way that will make those people give like they've never gave before.
Yeah.
And they will drive home holding their spouse's hand saying, that felt amazing.
And isn't it incredible? I just, your last month, you've been both coasts, you've been up and down the country, you've been in rooms with big brands, big celebrities.
Yeah.
But the most important part of all of that is you've created millions of dollars in impact for charities of all shapes and sizes. And you've challenged and pushed them to set goals. I mean, you've broken almost every, historically, Cowboy Auctioneers does a really great job of going in and beating the goal of the organization.
We've never done an event where we don't own the all-time record. Not one, since 2010.
So if you come in, you're going to set a new all-time record
every time,
and then you're going to hold it all the way out.
Yeah.
And what a commitment or what a statement towards the intentionality, the formula, the way it works, what you have to get done to be able to do that with consistency is something to think about.
Well, it's intentional, and there's 2 parts to our company. And this is very important because what people see on event day, what we call game day, what they see on game day is the guys in the cowboy hats hooping and hollering, and they see the magic taking place. But there's this whole pre-event planning that takes place. Sometimes an organization will call us 30 days in advance, and we'll do as much as we can to help them 30 days in advance. But if they'll call us 3 months, 6 months, 9 months in advance, and we get to jump in a board meeting or a committee call or have some time with your live auction chairs and inspire them to get their thinking up, they may be saying, hey, we're friends with the owners of the Tennessee Titans and we can go get 4 tickets VIP. And what we would challenge them is, if you're really friends with the owners, why don't we do dinner on the 50-yard line? Yeah. And one package brings 10,000 and one package brings 100,000. And so when you have those types of conversations in advance and you have the stakeholders that are listening to our consulting that can go make those asks, everything changes. And so, yeah, we're the last month has been insane. Coast to coast, ballrooms of all shapes and sizes. I don't know. I should have a pulse on this, but I would think that we've probably raised $25 to $30 million in the last 30 days.
Yep.
And there's been some great organizations that we've been honored to partner with. And it's from fighting human trafficking in Asia to kids with special needs here in America to women and children who have been abused by a loved one to the people that are on our streets, homeless without a meal in communities across America, to building schools in Rwanda and to helping teens stay sober, from Denver, Colorado to Jacksonville to Houston, Austin, Dallas, and I don't know, everywhere else. But it's been really surreal. And we don't do it for like the celebrity and the stage time. We're on a mission to raise $1 billion for charity. My career goal, my lifetime goal, is to raise $1 billion for charity. And so,
how are you doing on that?
We just hit. We were standing on stage at Tim Tebow's event.
Yeah.
1 month ago. It's crazy that was a month ago. I've lived like 9 lives since then. But 1 month ago, we were standing on stage at the Tim Tebow Foundation event, and I knew in that moment when a $100,000 paddle went up. That got us to 300 million. So for our career, we're at $300 million raised, and we're going to $1 billion. And so I joke all the time and say, if we would have set our goal for 100 million, we could like relax and chill out about this time. But that's not the point. It's not about the $1 billion. It's about how much impact that can have to the vulnerable people in our communities and around the world.
Especially in a season where we're seeing a lot of uncertainty in the nonprofit space.
Yeah.
And depending on where you get your funding and how you source your funding, you've got to get creative. You've got to go out and be innovative. You've got to be intentional. And so I want to ask, what kind of packages, what are you seeing be successful in the last month? And we could focus on the celebrity, but that's not it. It is, you've been in some incredible rooms where impact has been made. I mean, what's the biggest package you've sold in the last 30 days?
We sold a package a week or so ago for $3.5 million American, and we sold it twice. So that was a $7 million package. I mean, that was a huge chunk.
Is that the biggest package sale you've ever had?
Yeah, $7 million on one package is the biggest.
That's
biggest
incredible.
we've done. Yeah, it was incredible. It was spending a day with the British royal family up at Windsor in the library, seeing Leonardo da Vinci's private collection that only the British royal family has access to.
Okay.
And then you got to do afternoon tea with the Duchess and walk through the park with their famous corgis. Interesting, fun
That
package.
sounds like fun.
But yeah, it was a $7 million package. And then, but yeah, I just don't get caught up on that stuff. Like, and you know what's funny is
fun in the moment. But
someone listening has this question. Well, where'd you start that package? We started that package at 25 grand. And I want the nonprofit consultants to listen. It's not about where you start. It's about where you finish. And this is something that consulting every charity, they're like, where are you going to start these packages? We want this one to bring 30,000. Are you going to start at 30,000? No, we're going to start at $1,000 and let everyone in the room get excited. And we will very quickly be beyond your $30,000 goal for that package. But yeah, we started that package at 25,000, got up to $1 million pretty quick. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh boy, here we go. And it's not very often I get to count by 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. But that was a fun moment. And it gets up to 3.5 million. The backup bidder is done at 3 million. And the Cowboys did what the Cowboys do. One of them got on a knee and said, sir and ma'am, is this the big package you want tonight? And they said, yeah. And he said, well, here's the deal. We can sell it twice. Don't miss this. And they said, well, that's a little bit more than we wanted to spend, but it does sound incredible. And my ringman's response, my Cowboy's response was priceless. He said, if you have the ability to spend it, it will give these missions the ability to do what they do best.
Yeah.
And they put their paddle up at the 3.5 million. Everyone celebrated. And they came and gave my guy a big hug. And they were like, hey, when you reminded us why we were here, it was easy.
Yeah.
And so that was a fun moment. But like 2 nights ago, we're in Denver, Colorado, helping build a school in Rwanda and fund Christian education in maybe the poorest country on the planet. And we're selling chef prepared dinners at the founder's house, a very simple package that costs them nothing.
Yeah.
There's consignment packages that you can invest in. And we think that you should probably use one or two of those strategically. But we love the package that costs you nothing, but be careful with free. What we want you to do is we want you to set a threshold for what the minimum amount every package in your live auction should bring. How do you find the threshold? It's easy. If your live auction goal is $300,000, we recommend you have 9 or 10 packages. 7 or 8 could be better, but you've got to have the big spenders in the room to hit your goal if you only have 7 or 8. So say $300,000 goal, 10 packages, it's easy. Every package needs to average 30 grand. We want to make sure packages qualify. We don't want to put a package in the auction that doesn't qualify. If you know that the package is only going to bring $7,000, sorry, you got to either add to it and make it more robust, or you need to put that in your silent auction or your raffle. So what we like to do is we set that threshold. Every one of your packages has the potential to reach at least $30,000. And then a couple of those packages we want to be able to sell multiples of. And selling those multiples is what ensures that we're going to exceed our goal. And so we're in Denver, Colorado 2 nights ago, and they had a package that cost nothing. You had a local chef that is well known that says, I love this mission, I want to be a part of it. And you have the host and the founders of the nonprofit saying, well, we'll put 10 people in our home and do a dinner, and we'll open up our wine cellar. So the founders were happy to donate the food and the wine. The chef was happy to donate her time. The package gets up to $30,000 and we sell it 3 times. Yeah. And that right there is 100% net profit to the charity, 90 grand. And here's what it did. It got everyone in the room stinking up. And so when they're like, wow, $30,000 for a dinner, it doesn't matter what the next package is. The next package is going to bring a whole lot of money.
The price point's been shifted.
Correct. And so to go back to your original question of like, what's the best type of package? Everyone loves the beach. Everyone loves exclusive. It's something you can't buy. There's always, great golf and mountains and all that. But I also want to challenge the nonprofit to not think so much about the material and to think more about the mission. We've sold a half-empty bottle of water for $15,000. And the reason is because it wasn't about the water. It was about the mission. And so your 3 keys to major success are when you get the right people in the room, you share your mission with them in a way that inspires them to give big, and then you execute the ask well. If you do those 3 things well, it matters way less about what the packages are.
And it's not just your perspective as the auctioneer. You run a very successful foundation here out of Austin, Texas, the Bless Foundation, and I watch you do this every year with huge impact on a mission that is near and dear to you and your family's heart. How do you take what you've learned on the road and apply it to the foundation that you've built? I mean, from the ground up, what an incredible story Bless has. But I think it is a lot of the experience coming together.
Yeah, so I talked earlier about my career goal is to raise $1 billion for charity, but it's not my mission in life. And so I didn't know my mission in life until about 12 years ago. But my wife and I, we were at our church, and we heard that there was these groups of people, actual people groups that don't have access to a Bible or a church in their language, and it rocked us. As folks with big time faith, we were like, oh my gosh, I cannot imagine not having a Bible or a church in my language that I could connect with and live and live and be fed through that. And so I think that God put me in a family of auctioneers so I could learn about auctions, so I could fall in love with auctions. And then I was introduced to the nonprofit world by just accidentally becoming an auctioneer at a gala. I didn't know what a gala was when I did my first gala. Never been to one. Small towns in Texas don't have galas. And so we sell crawfish and shotguns and things like that.
Plate sales.
Yeah. So I was born in a family of auctioneers to learn about auctions. And then I went to this gala, and my heart was grabbed. And for the next 10 years, I really learned a lot about fundraising. I was not a fundraiser. I was an auctioneer. I became a fundraiser, which, side note, when you're hiring your auctioneer for your next gala, don't hire someone because they're a good auctioneer. Hire an expert fundraiser that knows how to do auctions. 2 very different things. Yep. The free guy from the car auction or the cattle sale or the antique auction down the road, that person is a great auctioneer. They are not an experienced fundraiser. The weatherman, the comedian, not experienced fundraisers. It's your most impactful 45 minutes of the year. You have to have an experienced fundraiser take the stage.
Somebody that recognizes, hey, this is a multiple split, and I just made the
Yeah,
night.
hey, that lady has been bidding up to 20,000 on everything. I'm not going to sell her this package for 6.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop and have a conversation with her and say, ma'am, I know you want to spend 20,000 and raise an extra 14,000 in that moment.
Yeah, what an incredible thing. But
So we're way off script.
Yeah.
Or we're way back.
pass your story. Back to Bless.
Back to Bless. Family of auctioneers helped me understand auctions, and then I became a fundraiser after many years of doing nonprofit auctions. But what I think was happening there is I needed to be exposed to radical generosity. I grew up in a family that would give, but I had never been exposed to real radical generosity. And so getting to do some of these charity events where people are just radically generous,
Yeah.
it changed the way that I view the world, and it changed my heart and how I wanted to be generous and give back to the world. And so when Tabitha and I learned that there was actual people groups, most of them are in the Middle East, Northern Africa, East Asia, but there's actual people groups that don't have access to a church or Bible in their language. We couldn't sit on the sidelines. And so being from a family of auctioneers and understanding now how to fundraise in radical generosity, we thought we were supposed to be goers or missionaries. The Lord made it clear to us that we are senders, and He's given us a network and skill sets and understanding and a vision for how to raise massive amounts of money. And so, yeah, we have a super successful event, but it's not about the event, it's about the mission. And when you say, how does that translate? It never fails to inspire me on how generous people are. And so if you put your mission, and it really matters, in front of generous people, incredible things happen that you never thought could happen. And so we've just told the story really well of these people that are out there. We've just told the story really well of these people that are out there.
Don't worry.
Of the bigger plan. And so, yeah, we get to Bless. It's called Bless, the Bless Foundation. And we get to deploy millions of dollars every year to support church planting and Bible translation in places that don't have a church or a Bible. And it's a ton of fun. And, you know, I would encourage anyone listening to this, if you don't have something in your life that is giving you purpose, if you don't have something that is filling that cup and making you feel like you are leaving this world with more than you can, then get involved. Go down to that local nonprofit. Go meet some of your friends that you know are involved and inspired. Take a trip around the world to get inspired. Because when you start giving time and generosity to something that makes the world a better place, I don't think there's anything that can fulfill you more than that. And so we're always inspired by these donors in every big city. They show up and it's their big night of the year, and they bring their friends and they continue to give and give and give. And it is, don't take for granted how much better the world is because of these charities, the smallest ones that you've never heard of and the biggest ones that are all over the globe. They both are changing the world. And so, yeah.
And they need you. They need your time. They need your generosity. They need people to know they exist. And Cowboy Auctioneers does a wonderful job of getting out on stage and helping these missions be told in front of their audience or an audience that they've put together. And it's an incredible thing to watch.
Yeah, that's another thing. I would not let anyone on your stage that isn't all in, completely understands the ins and outs of your mission. So when you're hiring your MC for the event, when you are going to let that board member go on stage, if you're giving your sponsor time on the microphone, if you're giving someone a achievement award, those are all great strategies to help bring in an audience to your event. But if they're going to take the microphone, give them at minimum a one-pager on all the things your organization does, on what this night is all about. I always like for the audience to understand what the impact of this event was last year and how it's going to create a bigger impact this year. So I understand if your lead sponsor gives you $25,000 or $200,000, and with that they get 90 seconds on stage, make sure that 90 seconds is about your mission.
Be intentional.
It's better for them and it's better for you, but every moment on that stage matters.
Well, Heath, thank you for spending time with us today. And how would people find you? How would people go and learn more about Cowboy Auctioneer? I enjoy it on Instagram because you've got some fun pictures and the Cowboys do a great job of putting that out there. But where would they learn more? How do they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so on social, on Instagram, we're at Cowboy Auctioneer. Website's cowboyauctioneer.com. We, on that website, there's all our contact information and all that. I feel like we're pretty easy to get a hold of. And we want to get to know you. We want to understand. The first question we're going to ask you is, what are your goals? And then every question and every conversation we have beyond that is going to be helping you achieve and exceed those goals. So, cowboyauctioneer.com. Reach out to us. And we have a full team. We have a team of expert fundraising consultants with a wide array of backgrounds. One of our consultants, she worked for the NFL and the PGA and executed their live fundraising events. Another one started Matthew McConaughey's foundation and also worked in the nonprofit world. And then, we have a team member also who has owned her own business and has been an entrepreneur and is an expert in running business. And so it's a really well-rounded team that's going to consult you to achieve your goals. Yeah, thanks for having me today.
The first of many conversations where we're going to highlight the impact of the live auction. We're going to look at the impact of live auction and all of that intentionality. We're going to be excited to sit down in the future, talk more about strategy, talk more about impact, and tell the stories of your nonprofits that are being impacted. The strategy of going big, being bold, and getting out there and telling your story in a very intentional way.